So it turns out that after all the rumors and the scuttlebutt on the internet, that the PS 4K is actually real. Well, I guess I should say it's mostly real. While this hasn't yet hit the 100% confirmed status, all of the reports are starting to say that the PlayStation 4K is more real than it's ever been. It's even finally become an official IGN news story, and say what you will about IGN, they are still the biggest gaming news outlet on the internet, so when they report on something that is a rumor that almost seems complete fact, it's pretty much something that you can take to the bank for the most part. And it's been reported from all sorts of sites, including IGN and others, that the PlayStation 4K is not only real, but has a different name. It's actually called the PlayStation Neo. Now, what's interesting about the code name, and I actually just learned this from the Completely Unnecessary podcast that Pat, the NES Punk, and his friend Ian host, which is freaking awesome, and I recommend everyone watch it and subscribe to them. What Ian actually pointed out on that podcast was that the PlayStation VR was codenamed the Morpheus, and now we have the PlayStation 4K being codenamed the Neo. So there's obviously a Matrix sort of theme happening right there, and I have to say that is freaking certified badass, because the Matrix is like one of my favorite films, one of the best films ever made. So I appreciate that kind of little nerdy sci-fi reference to how they're deciding to codename things. But as far as this actual unit and what's happening with the PS4K, the PlayStation Neo, I guess we're now going to call it until we finally find out what its official name is, or when Sony like 100% brings it to everyone's attention. What's happening with this thing is it's kind of a mix of what everyone had been thinking, and I made a video a couple of weeks ago discussing what the first rumors were. And what I thought might happen. Either it's going to be a significant upgrade that vastly changes the PlayStation hardware and vastly changes the gameplay experience and is going to alienate some gamers and piss off PlayStation fans and PlayStation owners. And I myself am, of course, also a PlayStation 4 owner. Or it was going to be a smaller upgrade that just improved some small performance enhancements and gave some other kind of smaller feature benefits, like the way the Xbox 360 Slim and the PlayStation 3 Slim, and to a degree the new Nintendo 3DS have done. And I was like, one of those is going to be a great thing, and one of those is probably going to make a lot of people angry. And it kind of seems like it's pretty much like a hybrid of those two ideas. It's kind of some compromise right in the middle. It definitely does have a couple of components that improve, like the processing speed and the computing power, I guess. And again, you know me, I don't know these tech specs, and I don't know how to kind of translate that. But from what I understand, there is a spec sheet that's been released, and that's how we kind of know that this thing is in fact real. And it's basically saying that, there are some components of the processor and the graphics processor that's a little bit better than what was in the original PlayStation. So that will make the performance of games a little bit better. It basically allows for, hopefully, a rock-solid 60 frames per second. That's the most important thing that everyone seems to be talking about. And some games are going to be able to output consistent 1080 resolution or 4K resolution, and that's pretty interesting. Not to mention, it does a couple of other smaller things that I think makes things easier for gaming overall. Internally, Sony is referring to it as the PlayStation base model, which is what we all know and have right now. And then the PlayStation 4 Neo will be this new thing launching in October. Future games after October have to include a PlayStation Neo mode that can run these better specs. But they can't make anything that actually alienates the previous owners. So they are being smart and making it so that previous PlayStation 4 owners, myself included, won't be missing out on the experience. All games will still run, as well as they're supposed to on the base PlayStation 4. And they won't allow any special features or special content in PlayStation 4K, PlayStation Neo versions of games, so that it's not like you can get some weapons or items or vehicles or whatever in the 4K modes as opposed to the base mode. So it's really great that they're doing that. So overall, what I really quickly wanted to get out to you guys today in this video is my thoughts on what's happening here and how angry or not angry I might feel. If you remember, I discussed that if they did something like this, they significantly improved the hardware, which here they only sort of significantly improved it. They marginally improved it, I would say. And if they make it full price, which they have, this new version is going to be $399, full price PlayStation 4. And there's no way to kind of make it like a cheaper upgrade if you already have a PlayStation 4. So it's basically a whole brand new console, brand new purchase. That if they did this, it's going to make a lot of people mad, and it would probably make me pretty upset, even though I like Sony and I love my PlayStation 4. But now that this information has been coming out and we have a really clear picture of what's going to be happening, we understand their business model going forward. There's going to be patches for old games to run in 4K modes down the road, if that's the version of the PlayStation 4 you end up picking up. And it's like, it doesn't really make me as mad as I thought it was going to make me, you guys, to tell you the truth. I don't know that I love this, because we're getting into this weird territory where now it's like we have to know and expect console upgrades sooner than we should have. The comparison I made to the new 3DS was that, yes, it's kind of unfortunate that they did that with the new 3DS, but that was so long into the 3DS's life cycle. That was 5 years in. 3DS had already been massively successful, and it added like a good feature like the camera stick, which people kind of don't really, talk about as much. I think that was a great addition, and it's a handheld. And at the end of the day, handhelds and consoles, I think we can look at them in a different space, and it's far less money to get invested in either the old or the new 3DS. With the PS4, it's a $400 investment either way. If you just bought your PlayStation 4, you just spent $400, and now it's already going to be outdated in a couple of months by the end of this year. And I think that is unfortunate, and, it's only 2.5 years in. I don't think that we should, every console generation in the future, have to be worrying about, oh, I wonder how long this one's going to last before the new one comes out. We got to find a better way for these consoles to be able to maintain their relevance and their, relative power in the industry, as far as like hardware power, for a longer period of time. And this is, I don't think, the best way to go about it. But all things considered, I don't really mind this, because I'm realizing, as a current, what is now considered the base PlayStation 4 owner, I don't feel as alienated as I was worried I was going to, thinking about the idea of if they end up doing this and segregating their PlayStation 4 audience. They're doing enough things as far as, they're not giving special features and content to PlayStation 4 Neo owners. I can't get the damn code names right in my head. I keep screwing them up. They're not giving special content there. They're going to have patches for the older games going forward. It doesn't sound like they're going to really skimp on the quality of the old model games. They have a standard that every base PlayStation 4 version of a game has to meet, as far as like its resolution output and its frame rate, and I think that's great. Sony's doing the right things there. And it's like, I don't really feel like I'm going to be missing anything as a current PS4 owner once this new one comes out, that these new games are going to be able to do compared to what my PlayStation 4 can do. It doesn't sound like it's going to be an issue. So that has me just really not all that angry. And it's like, you know what? If this is what they're going to do, this is what they're going to do. If they were smart, they would have just released it as a PlayStation 4 Slim. That's what I was going to suggest. Before this Neo stuff came out, I was actually going to make another video saying this is how Sony could do it right. Make a PlayStation 4 Slim. That has not backfired on anyone. Every system last generation, the Wii, the 360, and the PS3 had a slim, upgraded, changed version of the console that only made people happy. It improved a lot of the faults with the previous versions of the systems. It didn't feel like this mid-console generation swap. It was like, oh, we're just upgrading it. We're making it smaller, more compact, sleeker, more efficient, less issues. That was great. And if they just kind of bundled this whole concept of the PS4 Neo up into this PS4 Slim concept, I think they could have gotten away with a lot less flack and a lot less kind of controversy. And I know that this is going to make gamers upset, and rightfully so in a lot of ways. And I think that they could have avoided that if they went the slim route, the quote-unquote slim route. But you know what? That doesn't seem like what they're doing. Maybe they'll call it the Slim when we get the official name, but it's kind of too late because we've already found out about it. Rumors blew the doors open on this. We already know it is PlayStation 4 Neo, and we know that it's more of a new console than a slimmed-down version of the current one. So therein lies the problem. But that's what I wanted to get out, just discuss it a little bit more now that it's been revealed, and I wanted to share the fact that I expected to be more angry than I am, and I feel great knowing that I'm not so mad, and hopefully you feel the same way and you're not so pissed and we don't have to have another dumb gaming controversy that really doesn't get us anywhere. But, we'll see how that goes. It is the internet after all. So that's all. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I certainly do appreciate it. This, of course, is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.